Gentleman from Alabama is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Secretary, for being here today. I'm certainly appalled at what's happening at the southern border, and I know my constituents are too. Your border policies make every state a border state. And I said my constituents are appalled, but what's happening, but I know a family who has personally been suffering the consequences of your actions. And in my district, the 2nd Congressional Districts in Alabama, the Talladega County Sheriff's Department arrested Greevy Zavala, a 29-year-old illegal alien from Honduras, for the rape of a teenage girl in Prattville, Alabama, in a restaurant. The interesting thing is Mr. Zavala identified, I guess, as a minor is what I'm being told, but he was a 29-year-old. And Mr. Secretary, why do you think it is, and I've been to the border a few times myself, that we're finding so many IDs thrown down south of the border? It's almost like if these people were coming here to apply for asylum, they'd want us to know who they were and what they were up to. But for some reason, ID after ID are just piling up south of the U.S. border. Why do you think that might be?
Congressman, first of all, I'm very sorry, of course, to learn of the tragedy that occurred, that was inflicted on a constituent of yours.
I understand that, Mr. Mayorkas, and let me say this, sir. We've been apologizing to a lot of people for a long time, at least in the last few months, last few years. Even when the other party was in charge, they had the White House, the House, and the Senate, and we're continually apologizing to parents for losing their children to fentanyl, and for people getting raped in restrooms, and for DUIs, or people who are killing people with cars who have no driver's license. And I understand the apologies, but my people, the constituents in this country, are getting tired of apologies and they want action. And so who's responsible for the death, or let's say the rape of this 14-year-old? Is that you, Mr. Mayorkas, or is that President Biden, or is it Congress? Who's responsible for that?
Congressman, the criminal who committed the act is responsible. I look forward to working with you to address the scourge of fentanyl that is causing so much devastation and death. I look forward to working with you to fix what has long been a broken immigration system.
I hear you, but let me say this, sir, and you're aware of this too. This administration has created two things on the southern border: drug mules and human trafficking. And it's the policies of this administration, because we talked about it earlier in here and you said $4,000 to $5,000. Yeah, that's just south of the U.S. southern border. In Yuma, Arizona, there's 109 different countries came through that small town. And further south of the border, they're paying the cartel $7,000 or $8,000. Syrians are paying $19,000. So the cartel's getting rich, and the American people are paying the price in the form of crimes and drug deaths. And so we can sit here and talk, and for 4 hours now, 3 hours, however long this is going on, there's a lot of apologies, but not a lot of answers. And we need answers for the American people, and I think you're to be held responsible for that. And believe me, it's not fun to have parents in here telling us how they lost their child to fentanyl poisoning, but it's on your watch, sir, and it's on our watch. And we have a responsibility to do something about that. And so, you know, it just, again, the policies, we're turning a blind eye, and people are pouring in here. Sheriff Daniels said himself in testimony a few months ago, he said the safest he's ever seen the U.S. southern border, he was a four decades on the U.S. southern border, it was around 2018. He said the worst he's ever seen is now.